let's be honest for a moment. Street photography is kind of easy. When you go out in the middle of the day or in the early morning, or like when it's rush hour and you have so much stuff to shoot, it's kind of easy to find stuff to shoot, interesting things, and especially with like a long telephoto lens like an 85 or a 135, 50 to some extent, where you can blur out the background and stuff like that. It's easy to create an interesting look, a look that looks and feels expensive and interesting. And with time, you just find it harder and harder to keep yourself inspired, and to keep stuff interesting also for your audience. Your audience can be your Instagram audience, your YouTube audience, I don't know, your family. But with time, myself, struggle to find new angles to my pictures, like new ideas, how I can shoot differently, how to make things more interesting. And I think, I am doing this thing where I go out when it's really late or like night, let's be honest, Fridays, Saturdays, where there are a lot less people that walk around in Vienna, in my city, and I try to find stuff that is easy to replicate, but at the same time interesting. And that's a real hard challenge, I find, because you are not reliant, you are not dependent on people walking by in interesting outfits, on interesting bikes, in interesting cars. You have to depend on yourself to find interesting stuff that's always there, like interesting buildings, interesting perspectives on things, on trains, on, I don't know, on lights, on all these bokeh backgrounds, and with missing subjects basically. And I find for myself that makes me a lot more aware of my surroundings, and it helps a lot then when I convert that experience in daylight photography or in like sunset, golden hour photography. It helps to translate that creativity then on my real and usable and much more interesting pictures, because I have experienced all these perspectives which I can play with, and all these tricks, and so to say, like forget going low down or high up, like to the ground and shooting from down and up. I'm talking much more about finding subjects, like, for example, much more emphasis on the background, on the buildings, on like how can I take the maximum of the scene and apply it to my subject, for example. I hope that makes sense. Because, to be honest, most often than not, I'm just wandering around and I have no idea what I'm doing. I take 90% of my pictures are just bad pictures. But I think it's important to try and improve, to step out of your comfort zone. I see so many photographers on my Instagram feed that are doing just basically the same thing over and over again. And that's, on one hand, that's how it works nowadays with all the algorithms and finding your own style, which I'm not a fan of, to be honest, but it just works like that nowadays. And I often think to myself, oh my god, that must be so draining and not fun, photographing the same things over and over again. And especially pressuring yourself into falling into this niche, which is dangerous because you get a following about this specific thing that you do, and then it's hard to come out of it. But forget Instagram, like when you do always the same thing over and over again, you will not grow. You will not grow. It's fact in my opinion. When I go out at night and shoot, like I said, it's that much more hard. Especially, when you live in like New York or Melbourne or something like that, it's again another story. But here in Vienna, it's still, it's a relatively big city, but it's still relatively quiet at night, and it makes things so much more hard to photograph, like to get interesting stuff in front of the lens, and it pushes you out of your comfort zone to really look for perspectives, rules like rule of thirds, lightning, shadows, and I promise you, there is nearly in every place you are, there is a good photograph to take. Now, will it be an award-winning photograph? It will not be, but it will be a good photograph, and you can then apply that. See it like this. When you go through that, it is much more. Then it's applicable to daylight photography, and believe me, when you then go out to shoot at day, when there's much stuff in the streets going on, you will be overwhelmed with the possibilities that you have then and with your new perspective. So try it out, go out on a Friday, Saturday, even better, night, really night, 12, midnight. If you are in a big city, of course, you can. If you are not living in a big city, then just go out when it's dark. And try to photograph interesting things without people and without subjects like cars. Try to emphasize your attention to all these photography rules, because you train the rules when there's boring stuff around, and then when it's daylight, when you apply it, stuff will get much more interesting in your photography. So that's it for today basically, and see you guys next time. Shout out, does anyone watch this till the end? Besides my precious, dear, pretty, most pretty girlfriend. I don't think so, but anyways, see you next time. To the 2 viewers still viewing and looking forward to it. Bye.